and it is. But what most of those 250 people aren't doing is differentiating themselves. They're not making it very clear why they need to be hired or why they can add value and everyone can. They're not doing more than just restating their experiences. Sometimes they send a generic cover letter. You know, and to me, a generic cover letter, it's like asking someone on a date, right? And then they say, well, why do you want to go on a date with me? Like, just because I want to go on a date. But that's not going to end well. But when we apply to companies, we say, well, I'm just wanting a job. As opposed to, here's why I want this job in this division with your company. Be specific to the company, but also sell yourself. And that's going to be a theme here. You are in sales. We all are in sales. And if you don't understand that, you're going to lose out to somebody who does. I appreciate the thumbs up, because I've seen that over and over and over. There's nothing wrong with saying, here are the ways I can help you. Here are the ways I can add value. And in fact, that's all anybody really wants to know. So now comes the automation of the job application. And we are told that this is a great thing, because now you can apply. This is a horrible thing, because now you can apply for 500 jobs or whatever, and you can do 50 a day or whatever. Well, okay, there's reason number one, that there's 250 applications for every corporate job. All right? Also, this is not the way you want to measure your success. Companies are using the automated process to just screen who they want more efficiently. And the way that they do that is by giving their preferred candidates the keywords that get them around the automated process. So if you're in the camp of looking for a job, and you need a job, I don't want your metric of success to be, well, I applied for 24 jobs today, and I applied for an average of 35 jobs per day each day this past week. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but I am saying don't count on that as your only strategy. Don't let that be the only thing that you're doing, because this kind of creates an illusion of progress, and it's not. And I say that in love because I want you to be successful. But I've had too many people in corporate HR and others say, yeah, you know, we have people we like, we'll give them some keywords, whatever. So this cannot be your only way in. Not all industries are created equally. I'm sorry that this is hard to read, but the point here is that you can't just think about the job you want, you got to think about the industry that you're in. So like if you start a business, for example, and the business is growing, that's a good thing because you don't have to fight as hard to get customers. So if you're doing your SEO or your social advertising or whatever the case may be, that's great. And if you don't get this customer, that's all right. It's a growing market, more are coming. You don't have to work as hard to build a profitable business. Well, when you're applying for jobs, you know, some industries are growing a lot more quickly than others are. So you can see the analogy. You don't have to fight as hard to get a job. All right, that sounds obvious, but then you talk to people about what's actually happening on the ground, and they'll tell you, I'm just applying for jobs in the industry I've always been in. Well, your industry is shrinking by 14% a year. It's making it so much harder to get a job. Okay, so I want to talk to you in a minute about pivoting and thinking outside of the industry that you've been in. Think more in terms of your skills and where can they be helpful that you're not thinking about right now. So back to what you're selling, and again, we are all, there's nothing wrong with selling something. Okay? There's something wrong with misleading people. There is something wrong with not telling the truth about what you're selling or what it's going to cost or what it actually, the product or service does for you. That's wrong. That's just ethically and morally wrong. But there's nothing wrong with saying, hey, I want to help you or I want to serve you, and here's why I think you should use me to do it. 1, 2, 3. There's nothing wrong with that. But how are you selling yourself? If someone says to you, and they'll say it in a polite way or a friendly way to networking reception, but what they're really asking is, how can you help us? Which sort of implies, what do you even know about us? Because how do I know how I can help you if I don't know anything about you? So it'll be polite. You all know how that works. But that's what they're asking. How can you help us? Well, here's what I know about you, and then ABC. You get like 3 things. You know, again, back to dating. If a person tries to, if they haven't sold you top 3 reasons that maybe you should go on a date with them, the next 74 reasons are not going to change it. It's the same analogy. And it's the same dynamic of, you can trust me, I know you, and here's how I can help. And if you're not saying that, and if you're not communicating that in your LinkedIn, in every email you send about this subject, in your conversations, how is anyone going to remember you? Think about it from their perspective. How many people are jockeying for a job? How busy are these people, right? Or how busy they think they are, but it's the same difference. How distracted are they by 45,000 different things, just like all of us are? You know, one thing that I have been very humbling, I've realized that I often apply a harder standard to all of you than I apply to myself. So if I have an email or I want something done and I'm struggling to get it done, there's a part of me that's like, why can't we just get this done? But then I see that email in my inbox that's a week old that I haven't come back to, and I haven't gotten something done for somebody. So I've tried to hold myself more accountable. But again, the main point is, there's nothing wrong with selling yourself. Be honest, be direct, be concise, but understand that if all I'm saying to you is, hey, I'm John, great to meet you, I live here in North Alabama, I've done nothing to communicate how or why I can actually help you. And if I'm there trying to get a job or trying to sell you something or myself, then that's a problem, because you don't have any reason to take any more time to talk to me, at least not about that. So I keep going back to this idea of resumes, because I hear so many people say, I've got 500 resumes out. And the first thing that does is it encourages people, but then it discourages them when they don't hear back. Like, good grief, I put out 500 resumes. But what I don't see anyone doing is cultivating 50 people. Finding 50 people who know them or have worked with them and are equipped with 2 or 3 talking points, and are 50 people who could theoretically, and really more than theoretically, practically speaking, lead to a possible job opportunity. I don't see anyone out there who's building that coalition of people to go be advocates for them in their workplace, at their work lunch, you know, at their dinner party, at their networking event. That's what will move the needle, because most of the jobs that we all want are being found how now? Or inbound. I'm sorry?
Networking.
Yes. But when we say networking, how hard is it to show up at the Hilton or wherever they do these things with 1,000 other people and make this amazing impression in 32.5 seconds while you're trying to be 6 feet from everyone? Everyone's freaked out about their coat. It's hard. Everyone's distracted. People with the mask trying to figure out this thing. It's all weird. But one thing I've held the line on, you know, I went to some banking thing that started, they were trying to do this elbow thing and this toe touch. Just stop it. Make it stop. But these are the social dynamics that we are having to deal with, and it's hard. Meanwhile, you fought through traffic and you ate the Schlotzskys in 4 seconds so you could get there and in 32 seconds convince someone that they need to give you a job or y'all need to be partners. So networking was already tough. And COVID hadn't made it easier. Now someone's trying to bump your elbow. It's weird. So who knows you? And I don't care who this is. Your history teacher, your former babysitter, somebody you worked with, your uncle, your aunt. Who is it who knows you, would be willing to remember 3 things about you and pitch you to some people? You know each other. I mean, if I'm looking for something, I'm giving you 3 points about me and exactly what I'm looking for. And I'm asking you to keep me in mind when you're talking to other people you know. And then every couple weeks, I'm going to email these people or text them or whatever, just keep in touch with them, let them know how things are going. But don't try to do this alone anymore. It's hard. You need advocates. Not everyone's going to say yes. Some people will say yes and not come through. Okay. I.e., sometimes we disappoint each other. That doesn't mean we stop trying. So, I've already touched on this, but what I'm trying to get at is, if you come from industry A, and you have certain skills or experiences, do not limit your search to industry A. Are you thinking about industry L that you know nothing about? I understand some industries I can't just go hop into cybersecurity from like startup and economic development. I get that. Nobody wants me protecting the secrets on the arsenal. That's fine. Right? But you know, there's other things I can go sell. There's other places where things I've built are applicable. There's other places where bringing together a group of people to get something done matter. Your skills are applicable in more than one industry. But what people are going to ask you in that 32 seconds at the Hilton is, what industry are you in? Well, then you tell them, right? Well, now what are they thinking? Bad industry. But what if you say, you know, I come from this industry, but my skills, I think, apply here, 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 and here. Well, now you've just increased your chances by a factor of 4 that they're going to have a hit for you one day. But do not confine yourself to one industry, because the applicability of your skills are not confined to one industry. All right, so what is everyone else not doing? Number one, they're not staying in touch. Like if they're saying to anybody, hey, help me, I'm looking to find this opportunity or find this job or buy this business or whatever, they're not keeping those people posted. They're not updating. For example, if I ask you to help me find a new job, and then I go get a new job, and then I don't tell you that I got a new job, that's a problem. Because you're still out there advocating for me. Keep people posted. It's just back to treat people how you want to be treated. Focus on them relentlessly. Okay? Keep people posted. They're your advocates. They're out there fighting for you. Also, when you keep people posted, and you know, momentum loves momentum. If there's some people are going to be on the fence about, well, maybe I'll mention John, maybe I won't, I don't know. But when they found out I've made 3 fourth-round interviews, they're going to be more likely to pitch me to someone. And this is a game of inches. This is winning every inch. Everywhere we can win, we've got to win. Every advantage that we can eke out, we have to eke out at every stage. And that's part of keeping people updated. Secondly, writing personal notes. When was the last time that you got an email? And oh, this is great. I got an email today. It's like getting a bill. You know what I mean? Or a text. No one just writes a note. Says, hey, I enjoyed meeting you at the Hilton. I know we had 34 seconds. I didn't get your elbow bump thing, but I really enjoyed our discussion about da-da-da-da-da. Right? Write them a little note. Find some Crane stationery. Your handwriting's not great. No one's handwriting is great anymore. We've all been typing for 15 years. You know, our daughters call my handwriting like a fifth grader who's learning to write, which is particularly vicious if you think about it. Like guys, all I would have gotten to was, that's like a fifth grader. But our daughters get nuance. And they're like, you know, that's like a fifth grader who's learning how to write. It's unbelievable. Proposing creation of a job. When's the last time you wrote someone and said, hey, I saw you on the, and this is good hunting, by the way, the Inc. magazine 5,000 list of fastest growing privately held companies in the country that you can search by industry, by location, by revenue. INC, Inc. magazine. The magazine itself has the 500 companies, website has 5,000. Y'all, these are the fastest growing companies in the country that are privately held. They're hiring. There's some good hunting there. How many people are writing and saying, hey, I noticed that your company does X. I've been in that industry. I noticed that you're hiring for Y. But have you ever thought about creating a job for Z? And here's how that could work. When's the last time you proposed someone just create a job for you and made a case that they should? How many people are doing that? No one is doing that. Well, it's different. It's bold, it's adventurous. It's outside the box. Just newsflash, outside the box never feels comfortable. If you feel comfortable in every area of your life, you're inside the box. Me too. If we're trying new things, if we're growing, if we're changing, in any area of our lives, relationships, work, health, whatever, it's going to feel uncomfortable. But that's where the growth is. I mean, I work with entrepreneurs every day. Growth and discomfort are linked forever. Stagnation and comfort, like a frog boiling in water, also linked forever. Just get used to some discomfort. But I mean, that's how you know you're alive. I mean, if you haven't felt uncomfortable lately, like go do something that scares you. Go karaoke or something. Go to a poetry slam, like whatever you've got to do, but get out of that. Something needs to be feeling kind of strange sometimes, scary sometimes. That's just knowing you're alive. Okay, buying an income stream. Love this story. So, story is of a person had a family. They weren't making enough money to support their family. Smaller company. You're not going anywhere in this company. You can have that job, which is not a bad thing, but you're not moving up. There's nowhere to go. Goes to the owner of the company, who was probably 4 or 5 years from retirement, said, I want to buy your business, and I want you to elevate me to a VP, spend the next 5 years training me. I will then buy your business out. Here's how we'll do the profit sharing. They went for it. Tripled their salary overnight. Bought an income stream. I love how they thought. They said, I needed to buy income. I'm like, where's that? I want to hear about that. I want to buy an income stream. That sounds great. No, you don't just go to Burger King and buy an income stream. Like the first 5 times you do it may not work. You'll learn. You'll learn what you're looking for. You'll learn how someone who's selling to you thinks. You'll learn how to pitch it. You can buy an income stream. There's a slew of businesses that are being sold right now. There's business brokers. So if you Google like a business broker, And I would encourage all of you, take one day, 2 hours, just go talk to a business broker, just to get that on your mental map. Just let them tell you, this business profits $180,000 a year. And here's why we think it's going to continue to profit. Here's why they're selling. Just get that on your mental map. Let that be in your life somewhere where you're like, okay, I've vetted a business before. Buy an income stream. Biz, buy, sell. It's a B-I-Z, B-U-Y-S-E-L-L. They've got them, there's a bunch listed there. And you're like, yeah, that's not really me. I haven't done that. No one's done that. No one's done that. There's child cares with waiting lists for sale. There's bread routes for sale that, net like 40, 50 grand each. There's all kinds of crazy stuff. And people are retiring out of them right now. I would strongly encourage you to research. And it's not even a research thing. It's like you call them up, you make an appointment, and you let them pitch you some businesses. And I'll tell you too, the more you learn to think like an employer, the better you're going to do in interviews anyways. So what's the difference? Serves either end. All right, so wrapping up. Target more industries than you're thinking. You're from industry A, that's great. Target industry B, C, and D. Do set quantifiable goals. We need a way to measure progress, but please don't let it just be, I applied for 36 jobs on Monster today or whatever. I mean, if you want that to be part of your strategy and something hits, that's awesome. But don't let that be the only thing you do. But measure. I want to get 5 people advocating for me this week. Okay, we can measure that. You've got something to work toward each day. Do something that scares you. Investigate buying a business. And then take the opportunities this season creates. I'm going to talk about this in a second. I know, the elephant in the room is this stuff is hard. It's hard when you're trying to find a job. It's hard when you hate your job and you need to leave. It's hard when you're starting a business. It's hard to buy a business. It's hard, and we need to talk about that. It's hard. It's painful. It hurts. That's the reality. And it's hard to stay encouraged sometimes. It's hard to stay motivated sometimes. It's hard not to tie my self-worth to what I'm doing sometimes. But our choices are to persevere or to quit. And if you're in a season of life that gives you an opportunity to take that jog that you haven't taken, or to reconnect with that person you haven't reconnected with, or to read that book that you haven't read, that's not a bad thing either. And it's okay. Is that my phone? Sorry.
You dropped some?
Yeah, I apologize. There we go. If you want to read the book, don't tell yourself you don't deserve to read the book just because you're figuring out what you're going to do next. Read the book. 2 final stories. Sorry?
Sisyphus.
Maybe. Maybe this one goes over the hill and doesn't come back. Tim Tebow, right? So Tebow, famous person, Heisman Trophy winner, national champion. No one's thinking about that today. The internet's busy making fun of Tim Tebow today because he got cut after one preseason game in his NFL return attempt. Okay, 2 things happened in the game. First thing, there's a lineman coming in. Tebow tried to block him. He missed him, and the guy kind of shoved him off, and Tebow fell down on the ground. Second thing, he got wide open on a route. Quarterback saw him, threw the ball. Some other dude on his team jumped in front of him on the route because he was that wide open and caught the pass instead of Tebow. Tebow's not thinking about winning a national title. He's disappointed. And millions of people are having fun, making memes and commenting and whatever the case may be about Tim Tebow. But you know what? Tim Tebow is not going to have this regret. Tim Tebow is not going to wonder what would have happened if I had made one more run at the NFL. What about all these other people? How are they going to look back? I remember the year I spent 300 hours making fun of other people who failed in what they were trying to do online. I remember that meme I created. I remember that Facebook comment that I laughed at. Waste of time, waste of life. Go for things. You're going to get some, you're not going to get some. It's disappointing sometimes. It hurts. I worked and co-founded an education startup in my 20s. And I decided that I wanted to do this workshop. We lived in Birmingham at the time. And you know how it is. If you're going to do something, you want to do it first class. So the company was not about helping you get into college. The company was about helping you succeed after you got in. So it was like a plan to be successful in college. So I rented out a room at the Winfrey. They've changed the name, but it was the Winfrey at the time, where the River Chase Gallery is. That hotel is connected there. And so I rent out this room. I bought all these prizes. I worked with all of these schools to get the word out. Had all this spread of food. Had speakers coming in from Chattanooga, Jackson, all these places. Just really first class, all day, really solid program. Starts at 8 o'clock. At 7:53, there was no one in the room except for me and one speaker. This is after like 6 months of preparation. And so at 7:56, there was no one. I started calling speakers to tell them to go back to Chattanooga. You know, if they were too close to home, they should go back. 7:58, one parent and one kid walk into the room. There's all these tables, big old ballroom, and there's these two people. And I said, this was a gut check moment. I said, do you want us to do the program? Yeah. Okay. So for 6 hours, 8 hours, whatever it was, it felt like 20 years. I went through the whole program, just like I would have if 100 people were there. And I'd ask the kid the question, the kid answered the question, the mom would feed him the answer, give him an iPod, give him a CD, give him a gift certificate to Amazon. Those people made out with probably $750 worth of stuff. All right? So I get to the end of it. And I said, so now we have all this information in one place for you in this book that's $29.99, and then a monthly subscription that's $9.99. They're sitting there, they've got mounds of food, they got all these prizes. I'm exhausted. It was such a letdown. It was just brutal. And I said, would you like to buy the book? And I'll never forget, the lady says, I'm good. That was brutal. I mean, how am I going to sugarcoat that? You want me to tell you, like, that was all right. I mean, I think I cried. No, my wife cried. That's what it is. She cried. I just sat there with, like, the ghost face. I was 28, 29 or so. And that day taught me the value of knowing whether anybody wants what you're selling. And now I work with 53 businesses, and I can drill them all on, does anyone actually want what you're selling? Now I'm partnering in a startup, and I know how to vet whether anyone wants what they're developing. I just help them bring it to market. It took 8 grueling hours and a waste of time and money and general energy and morale to get that seared into me enough that all these years later, it's like yesterday. So the things that you go through that are painful, they're painful, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it, but they're valuable. Don't be afraid of what's painful. Don't be afraid of the struggle, and don't be afraid to try something new. So thank you all for the opportunity to talk to you today. I really appreciate it. I wish you the best in everything you're doing. So thank you.